Good evening and welcome to another book review session by the Bibliophile family. Today we have Riti Arvind with us with the book How to Listen, and I hope you'll enjoy the review. Over to you, Riti ma'am. I have just muted you. You can unmute yourself.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another book review session. This time, the genre will be about spiritual guidance, and it's a kind of a self-help book, and also it's basically on mindfulness, how to develop mindfulness. And this book, How to Listen by Thich Nhat Hanh, I read it for the first time during the readathon, and it's quite a profound book for me. And it was at that time, while I was in the midst of this book, I decided that I would want to do a review of this because I would like to share this book with all of you. And I hope you will also feel the same, what I am feeling when I went through this book. So, to begin, I would like to ask all of you, when was the last time you felt that you were listened to by someone? Many times we have a lot of problems, issues, challenges, or we just want to say something to somebody. So, or talk to someone. So, when was the last time? Have you ever felt, has there been a particular time in your life when you felt that, this person is listening to me, or when you felt that the person was actually listening and understanding what you are feeling when you are saying something? How many of you have felt that? I'm not going to make it very interactive, but almost every
So
day.
that happens with some
Yeah,
people. Some people are very good
yeah.
listeners, and some with in the case of some people, it's me only who's listening. Like so, it's depend on the person. But it happens with my sister also she listens to me. Yeah,
Mm,
and it's about the person, the other person, what kind of if they are lost in their own thoughts, then they keep speaking.
mm.
We don't have space to
Mm.
listen. So,
Have you ever
and
felt
that
like
happens
that?
with us
Have you
also.
ever felt like that? When you're speaking to somebody, then you feel that that person is looking at you but not listening to you. Have you ever felt
Yes,
like
yes.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, they do that. Yeah, clearly, yes.
Yes. So, you have a mix of these people, even if you have one single person in listening to you, yes, that's so important. Even if one person listens to you, that makes your day. You feel half your burden is, taken off. So,
But for that person, we are the ones who is speaking and not listening.
huh.
So it's one way street. Now we listens to some people listens to us.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's true. And have you sometimes felt, or not have you sometimes felt, it's like, how many of you feel that listening is harder than speaking? How many of you feel that? It's difficult to listen, but it's easy to speak. How many of you feel that? Have you ever felt like that? Yes, it's true. It's sometimes so difficult to listen, isn't it? Because there's so many things running in our mind. Yeah. So, this book, How to Listen by Thich Nhat Hanh, he dwells into this topic of how to listen. Because if you want to reach out to someone with your heart, and to make that other person feel that, that this is the right person to talk to, then you need to know how to listen more than how to speak. We can expound a lot of things, we can give a lot of bhashan and everything, but the most important thing is listening. Lending a ear, we say that phrase is there, isn't it? Lending a ear. So that's the most important thing. So good evening, everybody. I'm Rati, and let's dive into this particular topic. Wait. So here we are going to talk about the art of deep listening. It's a mindful guide, and it's based on the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh, and it talks about deep listening, which is a form of meditation. And before we begin to listen, we need to quieten our minds. We need to be at inner peace with ourselves so that we can listen to others with compassion. Right? So this is what this book is all about. Now this book is actually divided, he has portioned this book into two parts. One is, it gives you the notes on listening, like what is listening all about. And the second part tells you how to listen. What are the practices we can employ to listen properly? How can we do to enhance our listening skills? So, this book is actually meant for people who want to improve their communication, uh, and they want to seek to communicate better with others, their loved ones, or with people. And also, they want to improve their relationships, because many times, when it could be your partner, your husband, your spouse, your children, they're talking to you, and then they'll say, "You're not listening to me. I was talking to you all this time and you didn't listen, and now see what's happened." So that means there's a gap somewhere. So this book is actually meant for that. And it doesn't contain, it's very simple. The reason why I like this book is because it doesn't contain anything that's abstract. It's very simple to understand, simple language. And it's a very small book. Like, I'll just show you this size. Tiny book, about 115 to 120 pages. And there's not much text in on each page, so it's easy to read. And if you are this avid reader types, you will finish this book in one day. But I would suggest that this book is not meant to be completed in a single sitting, because it's something which you will come back to it again and again and again. So it depends on how much you want to pick up from this book. You can keep this book, for that purpose. So yeah, and this guidance that Thich Nhat Hanh has given, it's all based on Buddhist philosophy, which we can obviously we can all relate to in this group. So the first part is on notes on listening. It's notes on listening, and it talks about the power of listening, how powerful listening can be. See, when we meditate, what do? We sit silently and we take in deep breath, and we are concentrating on our breath. So, listening deeply is a kind of meditation. Here you're listening, you have quietened yourself and you're listening to somebody. Right? So, the first thing you need to know before you even listen to someone, when I'm using the word listen, it means just not, listen to, like what if Palak is saying something, I'm listening to it. Not like that. When something really serious or something is being spoken to, which you really need to sit and, absorb. When it comes to that, you need to listen to yourself first. First, your mind should be clear of everything. It should be clear of prejudices. So we need to concentrate on ourselves first. We need to concentrate on ourselves and think about what thoughts are going on in our mind. We need to listen to ourselves first. So when you listen to ourselves, when you listen to yourself, basically, you are not going to have any judgment. You're going to listen to yourself without judgment. You won't say, "Oh, this is so mean of me, I shouldn't do." Just listen to yourself. Whatever thoughts are coming to your mind, just listen and practice mindfulness. So this breathing comes in that in this aspect, when you are quietening your mind, and we are going to be with ourselves, that kind of introspection, as we call it, we need to we need to actually quieten ourselves and listen to ourselves, to listen to our mind, what all things are going on in our mind. And while you are listening to your mind, there are a lot of thoughts that come up. And especially you have thoughts like anger, fear, anxiety, all these things come up. So you listen to yourself without judgment. That is what you need to do. And where meditation is concerned, it's all about breath, isn't it? So consider breath as your faithful friend. Whenever you want to listen to yourself, take in a deep breath, listen to yourself, right? And pay attention to your breath. When you pay attention to your breath, that means your mind is being stilled and you are concentrating, you're focusing. And always remember, you know, when we always blame ourselves for things that are taking place, don't ever say that you are a victim of others' actions. No need to be a victim of anybody else's actions. Anything that you're creating, it's because it's happening because of your mind is playing all this on you. So you need to clear your mind of that. You need to accept yourself. You need to accept your negatives, accept your positives, accept everything. And then your mind, when your mind is clear, you will be able to receive. You'll be ready to receive. When someone is talking to you, you will be ready to receive. So we need to have a clear mind. Practice empathy here. We need to practice empathy, because if Palak is saying something, I need to put myself in her shoes. What is she actually feeling? I shouldn't be a person who's sitting out and looking at her. It's like as if I'm on a seat, of judgment, where I'm going to pronounce something to her. No, I should practice empathy. I should feel, okay, what is she feeling? I need to feel that. And in order to feel that, I shouldn't have any prior biases and prejudices in my mind. If I have that, then I will not be able to understand what she's trying to say and why she's saying, right? So, this is one thing that Thich Nhat Hanh says, we should not be a victim of others. So, you sit in meditation and you increase the tranquility in your mind, you breathe in harmony, and you enjoy that moment. So there are different kinds of meditation. You have sitting meditation, you have walking meditation. Many times you feel that I can't sit and meditate, so you walk, clear your mind. Walking usually clears up your mind, isn't it? So you walk and focus on your breath while you're walking, just like you're sitting. Focus on your breath and you enjoy those steps. Don't think about your destination and the journey, just keep walking, because you just want to empty everything out of your mind, right? So this kind of meditation will bring you at ease, and we will come to this meditation later on. And one thing you will see that, in this book, when you're reading this book, there are a lot of repetitions, and some of these concepts and terms and all are reinforced now and then, because it's to make you understand that how important this piece of information is, like how important meditation is, how important this form of meditation is to you, to improve yourself. So one thing is mindfulness. We have heard a lot about mindfulness. Even when we are doing our daily reading sessions, we have this topic of mindfulness keeps coming up. So when you are mindful, your concentration expands. So mindfulness leads to concentration, and concentration leads to insight. So these are the healing energies. When your mind is in a state of flux and not knowing what to do, you need to practice mindfulness. And while you're in that state of mindfulness, you concentrate, lot of insight, it comes into you, and this insight leads to wisdom, insight and wisdom, right? And what happens when you practice mindfulness? You're basically healing yourself, your inner self. You're nourishing yourself with these three energies, and you are transforming your habit energies. Do you know what a habit energy is? In simple terms, what is a habit energy? You know, there are many things that we keep doing. When somebody says something, we do something, we respond or we react. It's out of habit. That energy comes out of habit. We just do it. We don't know why we're doing it, because it's always been inbuilt in us and we're doing it. So we want to improve that. Like maybe you don't want to react, you want to respond. So for that, we need to learn, isn't it? We need to transform ourselves. It can't be like today, like, for example, we've been talking a lot about anger. I need to get rid of my anger. It can't be that today I'm angry and tomorrow I can transform myself. No, I have to work on myself. So that habit energy has to be transformed. So that takes up, there are a few stages that it has to go through. You can't do it overnight. So mindfulness, concentration, which leads to insight, all this, these three energies, these healing energies will transform your habit energy, right? That is what we are looking for. So so he's talked about this, and then he says another very interesting thing he talks about is silence. He's talking about silence. He says, when we talk about silence, what is silence? Can someone tell me what is silence? What do you feel is silence? We've heard of this thing, no? Silence, silent. Even in the library, keep quiet, silence. What is silence?
Silence can be taken as absence of sound,
Yes,
inside and outside, both. Inner, if everywhere it's all silent, then also our mind keeps on shouting and there is so much of going on.
yes,
So it can be both ways.
yes. Very, very. You are on point over here, Pramila. Silence, we said, is absence of sound, but this sound is not what we hear outside us. Like, the fan is moving, going round. Okay, that is absence of. That is the sound of the fan. Okay, that is disturbing our silence. Ami, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that silence is not just the sound inside and within, it's also the thoughts. You need to
Yes.
silence your thoughts also.
Yes, yes. So there
It's the
are
mind.
two kinds. Yes, there are two kinds of silence. One is the sound that's external, that you hear around you with your ears, and there is a silence which you will have to develop from the heart. You have to silence your heart, right? Because there are so many thoughts that are running in your mind, and there's so many things that are going on in you. That is not silence, isn't it? That's still going on and on and on. So you need to silence that also. That's not the sound which other people will hear, but you feel it. So you need to silence your thoughts, your feelings. So silence is basically, it is not just absence of sound, it is also uh, what you call it, the external noise, because your mind will not keep quiet. The mind is constantly thinking 100,000 things a minute, a lot of things. We are always ruminating. Now when I'm talking to you, your mind is not silent. You might be listening to me, but you have other things also you would like to, because you have some other ideas about silence, so that's also running on in your mind, isn't it? So it's, we are not totally silent as such. So we need to develop that silence from inside. So how do you do that? We talked about habit energy. So how do we do that? How do we transform that habit energy? We have to silence ourselves through mindful breathing. When we start breathing, what happens? We stop thinking of other things because we're concentrating on our breath. That's why breath is our faithful friend, right? And That's how we are going to transform our habit energy. And these thoughts actually, what you have, these thoughts that keep coming in your mind, that prevents us from hearing what other people are saying. These thoughts, they prevent you from hearing what people are saying. So we need to stop that radio non-stop thinking. It's a radio, like a radio station. This 98.3 FM and all that they have, na FMs. We have one radio non-stop thinking that keeps on and on and on. We just can't switch it off. So we need to silence that. So we need to enjoy the present moment by stopping that radio. So we need to quieten the noise to establish silence. So this is what Thich Nhat Hanh talks about. Try to silence your radio non-stop thinking. And what else do? We have to nourish ourselves, because at this moment we are not listening to others, we are listening to ourselves. We need to nourish ourselves. We have to consume our thoughts mindfully. And why do we have to consume our thoughts mindfully? Why should it be mindful? Why should this consumption be mindful? Because it's basically meant for protecting yourself. It's meant for your emotional well-being. It's good for you. It's good for the community, right? So in the larger picture of things, if you are mindful and if you nourish yourself, it's not just good for you, it's good for everybody also. And insight is born from listening. So when you are mindful, you concentrate and you gain insight, right? When you're gaining insight, what does it mean? You're listening to your inner self. You are listening to your inner self. That is when you are, in that state of, you attain wisdom from concentration, from mindfulness, concentration, insight, and wisdom. You gain insight. So when you are gaining insight, what happens? You're letting go of all your prejudices, all your prior thoughts and your ways of thinking, whatever has been built up in you. You're removing that, keeping that aside. You've brushed it aside. And now it's like a clean slate. You're willing to listen now. Now this is the time when you can listen. Now what happens? Now let's say that you have your mind is clear, there is clarity, and you are ready to listen. Now when you listen to a person, you listen with an open heart. Don't have any kind of other thoughts in your mind. You listen with an open heart. Give that other person a chance to speak. Because many times when somebody says something, you have some other thought in your mind. Yeah, you're right. This has happened to me also. And sometimes if somebody says and you don't agree with him, you'll say, no, that's wrong. You shouldn't have done that. That mind chatter is going on. But now your radio has gone off. You're just listening. You're just absorbing everything. That you should give an opportunity for that person to talk, and don't make any judgment, right? So you create that space in your heart and mind. You allow those words to sink in. You let go of your opinions and views, because our view can be full of bias, right? So you let go of all those opinions and views, and you absorb what they have to say. So how do we do that? You have to, obviously, if you want to absorb everything that somebody is telling you, you have to increase the capacity of your heart, right? You have to increase the capacity of your heart. And your heart, imagine he talks about the heart is like a river, and it embraces friends and foes alike. He says here there is a lovely thing, some words he has written here. I would just like to read it out to you. The Buddha once said, imagine someone stirred a handful of salt into a small bowl of water. Then he's asking the monks, do you think that water would be drinkable? And the monks said, the water will be too salty to drink. Then Buddha said, but if you were to throw that same handful of salt into the river, Would that river water be drinkable? Then the monk said, yes, the river is vast. The handful of salt could not possibly make the entire river water salty. So it's the same for us. If your heart is small, then unjust words will hurt you. It will make you angry. You will start reacting. But if your heart is big, just like the river, then those words will not have any effect on us. So we can continue to smile, we can continue to be free and peaceful and joyful as we were before. Have you noticed there are very few people, you tell them something, they don't show that anger or that reaction on their face. They are accepting everything. So friends and foes alike are accepted, they are embraced. So here we need to increase the capacity of our heart. To increase the capacity of our heart, we need to develop compassion. And to do that, to develop compassion, the first step is to breathe mindfully. Listen deeply. Listen to yourself deeply. Look into yourself deeply. And he also says another interesting thing. He says, you need to listen to others without taking on their pain. You have to practice being like the earth. You receive everything that is thrown to it, and like the earth receives all kinds. The earth receives love, it receives garbage. Haven't you seen? We are throwing all sorts of things onto mother earth, but what does she react? She just takes in everything, whatever it is, she takes it in, and she transforms it into flowers and fruits. So see that height of compassion that she has for us, despite us being like beasts, right? Being selfish people. She's accepting us, she's accepting everyone, the good and the bad alike. So here he says that you listen to others with compassion, but don't take in their pain. Because what happens when you take in their pain, you are becoming a casualty. You have become another victim. Somebody has come to you with a problem. You will say, oh, that problem has now become my problem, and you're thinking it. No. So don't take in that pain. You listen to them, but don't take in their pain, because you don't want that toxicity to come to you, right? So you receive the sound, what they say, you receive the sound minus the toxicity. This is what Thich Nhat Hanh is trying to tell us. And then he also says, don't interrupt. When somebody is speaking, do not interrupt. Don't turn it into a debate. Just listen, because the moment you turn something into a debate, then the whole purpose of listening is lost. Because you're giving your views, your opinions, and everything. You are supposed to listen, right? So don't take things into a debate. You can later on, you can talk about it later on. But in that moment when that listening takes place, just listen. They just want you to listen. Many times, what happens? Somebody is unburdening themselves to you, right? And you're not saying anything, you're silent, you're just listening. And then that other person, what does he say? He or she say, oh, I'm glad that I have spoken out. I just feel a lot of relief when I've said it. See, it's just they want to just unburden, and you've just listened to them. So don't think that every thing that you listen to requires a response. Not necessarily, right? It's just you listen. And if they want something, they will ask you, and then you say it, but don't say it immediately. Listen to everything, see every aspect that they want to talk about. Try to put yourself into their shoes and try to understand what their feelings are, and then you later come up with whatever solutions you want to. So this is how he says, and very beautifully he says, listen with compassion, but do not take their pain. Then, and not to interrupt them, with a debate, because then you lose that, the purpose is lost. Okay. Then, there is also a limit to listening. Sometimes when you're listening to something very intense, we tend to feel tired. The person who's listening feels tired. So this doesn't mean that you force yourself to listen. You can take a break. You can tell that person, I need to think about what you are speaking. Let us come back to it again at a later time, and we can mention something, and then we can talk to them later on. So it's like kind of regrouping your thoughts, and you are trying to energize yourself. Many times we feel quite bogged down with what they are saying, and it's too much to take in. So you need a break. So take a break. You don't have to feel guilty of feeling exhausted, because listening is not an easy thing. It's not just simply opening your ears and just words are coming into your mind. You're absorbing it, and you're trying to analyze, and you're trying to see how you can help them if they need your help. So how do you take this break? Through meditation. And you can do sitting meditation and this mindful breathing. So this helps you to restore your capacity to listen through meditation. So I hope this has not been too much of, being very verbose, because actually, if you look at it, Thich Nhat Hanh is not verbose when he speaks. He repeats himself quite often, and I don't want to be verbose. So that's why we have almost reached the end of this particular review. There's a little more maybe that we have to do. So one important thing is about our mind. He talks about our mind, the consciousness. It's divided into two parts. It's according to Buddhist philosophy. This consciousness has got two parts, an upper part and a lower part in this mind. So you can imagine yourself like, it's this mind is like, the upper part is like your living room, and the lower part of your mind, the store consciousness, is like your storeroom. So everything is there in your storeroom. We keep all odds and ends in our storeroom. So what are the kind of things that we keep in our store consciousness? Can somebody tell me? We keep seeds. Let us say that we are keeping seeds. What are the seeds that we are keeping in our store consciousness? Can someone try and say something regarding that? The seeds.
Maybe hatred, happiness,
Yes.
whatever thought process and
Yes.
seed we keep.
Yes. Can it be positive and negative?
Yeah.
Yes. So you have these seeds, the positive and negative seeds. These positive seeds will be like joy, happiness, satisfaction, compassion, forgiveness. All these things come under these positive seeds. Then you have these negative seeds: anger, um, jealousy. Then you have anxiety. All these are negative seeds. So you have a mixture of seeds in your store consciousness. And your living room is supposed, how it is like in your house, your living room is always clean, neat, tidy, and everybody who comes, they feel good when they sit there. So what are the things we have to develop, keep in our living room? That is the mind consciousness. We have to keep positive seeds in our mind consciousness, in that living room. So these seeds which are there in your store consciousness, if you keep feeding on some of these seeds, if you keep nurturing some of these seeds, they will grow and they will come up into your mind consciousness, into the living room. So we have to be very careful what are the seeds that are going to rise up into that living room. So what we need to do is we need to water the seeds of the positive feelings. The positive seeds you need to water, and the negative seeds you have to ignore. Do not water the negative seeds. Yeah. So when these seeds, there's a mixture of joy and anger. So when you're nurturing these positive seeds, They come up into your living room, that is into your mind consciousness, and you keep nurturing it, and it keeps growing. It keeps growing and it keeps manifesting, right? You're manifesting those seeds. And you should let those negative seeds sleep in the storeroom, dormant. We have all this, we can't get rid of it, but it will be dormant. We don't need to nurture them. But what happens if these negative seeds keep coming up? What do you do when these negative seeds keep coming up? They are getting manifested in your mind consciousness. If you are aware, what will happen? You will try to cut it off, isn't it? It's like nipping the bud. When a weed is growing, we start nipping it at the bud itself, at the bud stage, so that it doesn't grow further. So your awareness is there, what happens is you will start nipping that particular seed which has manifested in the living room, that mind consciousness, and you try to push it down. And you can do it. You can do that, right? So he says that, you need to let the negative seeds sleep in the store and choose not to water them. You should not choose to water those seeds. You should keep it dormant. So this is how you nurture the positive seeds. So this is the a kind of architecture of consciousness that you see over here. The mind being divided into two parts, the living room and the storeroom, and you start nurturing your positive seeds. And then he talks about deep listening. Deep listening. He talks about deep listening. So how can you listen deeply? You will deep listen because when you're listening deeply, you are not playing any mind games. You're not blaming others for something. You're listening. You're not blaming. You're not creating any misunderstanding. And also what happens is, when we are listening, this is one very important thing. He says here, you must empty your cup. To listen, we must empty the cup. So what here is that, we all have we have heard of these complexes, right? Superiority complex, inferiority complex. Sometimes you feel greater than the other person, you know something more than them. That is your superiority complex. Sometimes a person feels that, I'm not as good as the others. Now that is an inferiority complex. Now sometimes you feel, hey, we both are at the same level. We are, same to same. Our thoughts and everything vibe. That is equality complex. But what happens here is, when you are having this complex, it means that you are having comparison. Even for an equality complex, you're comparing it. The moment you start comparing, it means that you are going in for discrimination, isn't it? The very thought that you are equal to me means you are comparing and then coming to that conclusion. So we have to get rid of these three complexes. Yeah, this is all higher order thinking, but we can try, and when we're mindful, we can try and learn how to do that. It's just the basic that he is telling us. What you do, you have to avoid comparison. So when we avoid comparison, we are developing the wisdom of non-discrimination. And the wisdom of non-discrimination is actually innate in us. It is there within us, but we have not nurtured it. That wisdom of non-discrimination. If you see babies, when they are born, they have absolutely no complex, nothing, right? And it's what we as family and society feed it, then they have come up with all kinds of thoughts and prejudices and bias and all the lot. So until then, there was nothing. I'm equal to you, nothing. They're totally innocent. So that feeling is there in us. That is innate in us. It's just that it is silenced. It is not being nurtured. It is there in us. Just like all the other seeds that are there in our storeroom, we have the seed, but it is not nurtured. So the real enemy we have, the real enemy is anger, discrimination, hatred. This is the real enemy that is within us. And when we have this discrimination, what happens? We have points of view, isn't it? Everybody is having a point of view on some topic or something or the other. And we will say, okay, I'm doing this, what I'm doing, this is the right view. It is a view, but that right view is not the view. The right view. The right view is not the right view, because everybody has got his or her own right views, because there are so many ways to look at something. So when you treat everything as just as a view, that is a view. But to get to that right view is what? Obviously through meditation and through mindfulness, through breathing. That's how you need to develop yourself. And like I said before, we must try and develop a heart like a river. Our heart should be like a river that can receive salt, yet it can remain fresh. It receives anything, but at the same time, it can be fresh. That can happen only if you practice mindfulness, and as a result, we increase the capacity of the heart. Right? So here he talked all about mindfulness, and he's talking about nurturing the positive seeds and trying to ignore the negative seeds. And the next part he comes to is how to develop this art of listening. So he talks about listening to the bell. I won't give too much of details about this, but here it's like, when you listen to the bell, there must be something that it's like an alarm that tells you, okay, now is the time to sit still and think. So in some places, like in the ashrams, you have this bell that keeps ringing at regular intervals. During that period of time, they stop their work, they stop doing what they have, and they maintain silence. They go inwards, just silence, doing nothing. If they're walking, they stop. If they're eating, they stop. If they're writing, they stop doing it. If they're talking, they stop talking. They just remain silent. So this is one way in which they are developing the art of, mindfulness. Another their technique. So a bell does not need to be a bell, the temple bells, or this, as you're seeing over here, this singing bowls, that's also a bell. During meditation they use it. It can also be your alarm clock. It can be anything. It can even be the sound of any, or maybe a cat mewing. That can be an indication for you to stop. So you can decide what you want to be, what you want to listen to, which will indicate to you that it should be the time for mindfulness. So you have listening to and you have listen to your inner child. We have to listen to ourselves. That initial thing, like I told you, we need to listen to our inner self, get rid of all our prejudices, find out what is wrong with you. If you sit quietly and think about it, you need to take some time out for yourself. In complete solitude, you need time out for that. So you need to listen to your inner thoughts, question yourself, try and answer yourself. You need to have that. Listen to your ancestors' voices. Hold mindful meetings. Like we are having mindful meetings. Many times we do have in our group. We talk about things which, based on this, self-improvement, mindfulness. Have these mindful meetings. Go in for walking meditation. Go in for sitting meditation. Then do some belly breathing, those different breathing exercises. Listen to young people. Many times we feel that young people are not, what do they know? But listen to them. Sometimes the youngsters, they come and they talk to us and they ask us a lot of things, but we just ignore. But they want, learn how to listen to them, because many times you can learn a lot of things from them, because when they speak, they're speaking out of innocence without any prejudice in their mind. So listen to these young children and listen to the silence. Learn to listen to the silence, and then you learn to listen to everything around you. Yeah. So this is what this book is all about. There are a lot of things in this book. I mean, I'm not covering. And sometimes, you feel, is it worth buying this book? If you want something that is short and practical, a wisdom, this book is an ideal one to keep, because you want to keep opening it and listening. I mean, reading, not listening, reading it. Reading is just like listening, you're absorbing everything from that book. You can do that, I keep doing that often with this book. And it's a kind of a daily reminder to you, like, that we need to slow down to smell the roses. We keep, in this fast paced life, we forget about a lot of things. We forget to love ourselves, to think about ourselves, and to heal ourselves. So this book actually is helping you to slow down and listen to yourself. And it will definitely give you a good grounding, and also help you to work on relationships. You can just try doing that mindful listening before you listen to someone. It really makes a lot of difference. So after reading this book, I've started, consciously trying to incorporate this. When people say something to me, I try and put myself completely, deeply try to listen to them. And then you realize, yes, there is a lot of meaning in what they're saying. There's a reason why they're saying like this. What I felt earlier was not for this. I change um, my judgment, or whatever you call it. Whatever I would like to say, that changes. So this happens when you are deeply listening to somebody. One of the things is that this book, there's a lot of repetition in this particular book. But and another thing is that there's no detailed instruction as to how to go about this practice. It just gives you a roundabout view of, you need to do this, need to do that. But sometimes you would like to get a lot of in-depth practice, sessions on this, which this book does not have that. But we can always get it from other books. But this is like a quite a good beginner's guide to mindful listening. And yes, the thing is that my takeaway, when I read this book, it helped me to be fully present to people, when they are speaking. Keep everything aside, keep my work aside, and be in the moment with them. And it also like help me understand about this radio chatter, this non-stop chatter that goes on, how to silence that, to be in the present. This is something that helped me. And there are a few quotes that I have just picked up from this book. When you read, there will be a lot of things which you also, you will find, like you would like to listen to. Mindful listening is the foundation of true communication. The most precious gift we can offer others is our presence. Listening is a very deep practice. You have to empty yourself. You have to leave space in order to listen, especially to people we think are our enemies. Just imagine a cup of tea. You're trying to pour more and more into that cup. It's overflowing. You're not given enough space for that tea to be held. So you need to empty it. So empty out all those prejudices, that hatred, and all those negative seeds that have grown in us. Empty it out, and then be willing to receive into that cup. And that is how you will be able to, listen mindfully and also help the other person. And at the same time, while you're helping somebody, you are also healing yourself and moving forward as a better person, right? So that's all I have to share with you regarding this book. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Rithi ma'am. And firstly, we will take a selfie and then we can move on to discussions. It was a wonderful session. So many deep insights.
Shall I
I
put
think,
on this
yes, you
presentation?
can stop sharing. Everyone, I would request you all to turn on the camera and let's take a selfie with Rithi ma'am. All right. Akash ji, everyone, please turn on your camera. I'm just waiting for you all 5 more seconds. Okay. Everyone is looking amazing, beautiful. Ready? All right. Smile, everyone. Once more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful picture.
Thank
So,
you.
yes, the session was very insightful. I think quite, you made us actually listen to our inner self, because when you were talking, we were also talking with our brain. Okay, this is right. This is so, yes. And that's where the silence. So whenever the reactions are gone, we actually are listening intently to the speaker, and that I have noticed. So yes, I think we are practicing what you taught us.
So the silence was, I hope so that you all were listening.
Listening, yes. The silence was for good listeners. All right, everyone. You have any questions? You can go ahead and ask any discussion. Then we'll wind up
Anything
by
that you can share about your,
Yes, yes.
your
Yeah, something
experience.
came up in my mind. So people think listening is like nothing. So one of my friend once said like therapists, what therapists do, they just listen. But they need to read this book, right? They're so lost in their own things and they are like, "Yeah, okay, so what is some therapists are doing? They are doing nothing, they're just listening."
so true.
Realize the
It's a
power
very
of listening.
important
And
task.
ones who are very poor listeners who say these, no? So that's it.
See, that's because they have those prejudices in their mind, isn't it? And many people say, you go to a therapist, they say that it's been helpful to me. It's basically because that person listened to them. That's why. So half the battle is won when you listen.
Very true, Nehaji. Wonderful session, actually. Yes, sir. Anyone else would like to share? We have 4, 5 minutes and then we'll wind up the session. Yes,
I
Mahesh.
wanted to ask one thing like there was one point like it mentioned like listen to the ancestor. How do we listen to them now?
Your ancestors, here he says, when he talks about these ancestors, he says that these ancestors have also faced a lot of uh, challenges and everything in their life, and that is being brought forward, because our life is like, we don't talk about our life as it is right now. We are bringing our past life is also uh, you know coming forward. We are bringing all our past life into us. So he says that, like here, I'll just say, since you asked me this, it says here, our mother may have suffered throughout our life, or throughout her life, and our father may have suffered. Maybe our parents were not able to look after the wounded child in themselves. They might have been unhappy. So when we are embracing that wounded child in themselves, when we are embracing that wounded child in us, then we are embracing all the wounded children of our past, of the past generations.
Mm. Right.
We are doing that. So, so when you are practicing this listening, uh, when you listen to your inner child, what you're doing is you are not just helping yourself, you are also helping your past generations. You know, like we say, we are forgiving our ancestors for having done something, like sometimes you say the sins of the fathers are borne by the sons in 7 generations. I think there's some statement like that is there. Whatever your ancestors have done, you are undergoing those sins you are bearing those sins. So when you realize that, when you listen to your inner child, then what you're doing is you are forgiving. You're listening and you understand why they did, when they did what they did, at that point of time. So this practice, when you do this listening to your ancestors, this is not just a practice which you do for yourself, but you're doing it even for your ancestors, you're doing it for your descendants and for everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Because those ancestors may not have known how to solve those problems and those issues. So you are now the go-between and you are helping them.
Thank you. Nice sharing.
Wonderful. All right. Anyone else would like to share? Yes, Ramit sir.
Yeah, Retiji, first of all, thank you for wonderful session. But I just wanted to know whether the author covers the other side also, because we being a good listener, but suppose the other side is irritating. Like some people, they keep on repeating. They will say the same thing every time, again and again, again and again. So we listen first time, second time, repeat again, third time again. But when the patience is over, so how to handle that? Whether such kind of aspect is covered.
How I mean, when you are in the zone, you will listen 100 times or even 1,000 times when you're in that zone. And when that person repeats many times, I suppose when you are into that deep listening stage, that person might just repeat it once, and you will understand that you have listened, and will say that I am glad that I have unburdened myself to you. I mean, this is mine. This is not Thich Nhat Hanh's version. I am saying this. Suppose you tell me 3 or 4 times, and if I listen to you and I say, okay, Rumit, I understand, then you will say, I'm glad that I have said it. I'm not going to repeat this again. I'm not going to repeat all these things again and again. So it just depends on how you receive. This is what I've understood. So this is just a review of the book, actually. It's not you know, how I can solve these things, because I am also in the learning stage. Yeah.
Sanjay ji would like to ask.
I don't have any specific.
I can't hear you, Sanjay.
Am I audible?
It's very low.
It is better now.
Mm.
You
I
have to
don't have any
improve your
question as such.
listening skill, even if the voice is low.
I have to improve my listening skills.
No, it's okay. I don't have any specific question here. Thank you so much for this wonderful session. There are so many things to learn here. One line, if I could grab from this discussion, is that listening is the gift we can give to others, or whoever is there with us. That's apart from many nuggets of wisdom you have presented. I think the
Mm.
one is straight away going into my heart, and the story which you narrated about salt and river, it was
Mm.
like we
Mm.
can keep such kind of things in mind. Mindful walking is, in fact, I remember your last review related to birds and what uh,
Learn from the book.
we can learn from birds and nature, and also whenever I go for a walk, I remember whenever I see birds, I remember that thing. And now again, if I am again on walk, in fact, in the morning, this today was kind of for me So that this day was full of mindfulness. Not from saying it's very easy, but we started in the morning this energy enhancement session by Vinutaji, and then there towards the end of the session, she said that one Hindi song's line, film वक्त आगे भी जाने न तू पीछे भी जाने न तू जो भी है यही एक पल है. So means that is listening to your own self is another gift to we can give to ourselves.
Yes.
Thank you so much for this
You're
wonderful
welcome.
reminder.
And when I was talking about mindful walking meditation, I thought about you because you always have a morning walk to those places in Kharghar. So when you were talking about that, I was thinking of your walk. You practice walking meditation. I was thinking of that.
One more thing about mindful walking, which I have practiced, like you are taking 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, then breathing in number of steps, you can decide whether 4 or 5 or 3 based on our own capacity and based on our own rhythm of walking. And the next 4 or 3 steps,
Yes.
exhale, inhale, exhale. Means this is wonderful. Means not always we can practice, but we can remind ourselves, okay, let's do mindful walking. So thank you so much for this reminder. Wonderful book and wonderful lessons I actually got.
Thank you. There's before we before we leave, there's something I would like to share with you, which I was telling Palak. The singing bowl, that I have a singing bowl, and we have this meditation using the bell. So I would just like to show you. This is my singing bowl, and it's engraved inside. Yeah. So if at all anyone is they want to buy a bowl, don't ask people to buy it for you. You should go and buy it yourself, because each one has got that calling, that sound. It resonates with you. And just if Palak will allow me, I will
Yes,
just
please.
say, so this, why is it called as singing bowl? Because when we used to practice in the Buddhism, we used to have this bowl, which is for every chant, after every particular liturgy, when we are chapter, we used to ring the bell, so that ringing will be just like this. But if there's another way of for the sound to generate, I hope you'll be able to hear this. Can you hear? Yeah, I just wanted to share this with you. And this, you hear it, it is, yes, Ami. And this is used like even for healing, using sound healing. Like I've had a few friends who have had this thing, they come home and they say, we have a lot of things going on in our head. So I say, okay, let's take out this bowl, and I use this bowl, and it sort of calms them down. So this brings you back, you're thinking about the sound. Yes. And it's quite a lot of energy comes out of it, and it goes on and on reverberating. So I just wanted to share this with you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Very relaxing, very soothing. And what a beautiful end than this. And I was thinking whether you will put that sound, but I'm glad that you used it.
Yes.
So yes, with that, we come to the end of the session. Thank you so much, Retiji. Such a deep insight and very good book. I would recommend you all to read it, slowly, mindfully. And yes, a gentle reminder, tomorrow we have a Kamal Dang's session at 7 a.m. on the book Focus on What Matters, chapter 29 to 32. So yes, thank you so much everyone for joining. Good night.